Hello students, how are you all? Hope you are doing good. I hope you had watched the previous video and got the introduction about the subject named corporate laws and compliances. Okay, and moving further, we are going to start with part A of your syllabus, that is Companies Act 2013. Okay, and in that, the chapter 1 that we are going to start today is company formation and conversion. Okay, so under this particular chapter, there is first topic named Introduction to Companies Act, in which you will get to know more details about the act which we are going to study. So without wasting any further time, let's continue with the topic. Now, see, this is contents of this particular topic are basics of law. Okay, how the law has came, what are the meaning of different things. These are things will covered under this. The second topic will be Introduction to Companies Act 2013. That is when did the act come? Okay, how they passed it. Okay, what's the reason of bringing it? All these things. And then we are talking about Companies Act means with the name it is clear that it governs the or rules or controls the company. So what do you mean by the company? What is the definition is given under the act? If yes, then what's the definition and what are the features? And the next topic is lifting of corporate veil. You will not going to understand by the name, but we're going to discuss it in detail in future slides, and it's a very important topic from an exam point of view. And the next is types of company. There are various kinds of company, classes of companies. So we are going to discuss each and every type of company in detail in further slides. And in the last topic of the day will be illegal association, means what kind of association will be considered as illegal under Companies Act 2013. Okay. Now starting with basics of law. Now before the law comes, okay, there is a bill which is passed, which is a document. It is being presented in a legislature, that is in the parliament, for discussion and voting. Okay, it is being presented in the parliament, both the houses of the parliament, for discussion and voting. And their bill is not a final thing. On bill, the discussion occurs, and on the basis of the discussion, if they think that there should be some alteration, there should be some changes, then it is being done at this particular stage. After the bill is being considered, discussed and voted unanimously or by majority, the bill becomes act. So once the bill is passed by the legislature is government. It is presented to President of India or governor. Governor will come in a case where the act related to a particular state. Okay, and it goes to President when act is applicable to whole of India. Now, if we talk about Companies Act, it will be applicable to whole of India. Thus, it will be present. It was presented to President when it was a bill. You might be knowing that the Companies Amendment Act, Amendment Bill to 2020 has been due, and once it will be passed and presented to President, then Companies Amendment Act to 2020 will come. Now, right now it is bill. Okay. Now, we had talked about what is bill, what is act. But you all might have heard about Companies Amendment Ordinance 2019. Now, why the term as ordinance? Because it was put into effect by the President or Governor at that time, not now. Okay, when the Parliament or a Legislative Assembly was not in session. You all might have known, it's a general knowledge, and your final students, I know that you would have known this, that the Parliament Assembly or Legislative Assembly happens in sessions. So when the things come, when the session is not there, then at that time the president or governor, okay, at that time the president or governor put an bill into an effect, and that bill will be called as ordinance, okay. And this particular ordinance have the same effect as the act has been passed by the legislature, okay, but it need to be approved by legislature within 6 weeks of reassembly of legislature. Means whenever the reassembly occurs, within 6 weeks of that, it need to be approved by legislature, okay. Now some other things that we also need to consider apart from bill, act and ordinance is under Constitution of India, basically who gives the right to pass a law or to create law. That is the Constitution of India. Constitution of India is the biggest thing that we have, okay. It's the biggest authority, okay. And under the Constitution of India there exists law which includes many acts, okay. And after that regulation comes, and then finally rules. So you can see this picture. First there is a constitution under which the laws are given. Law means what? Law means a bunch of acts which govern each and every person, company or everything that is there in India. That is, if you want to start a factory, you are governed by law. If you go on a road, you are governed by law. So each and every act, when they comprise all together, we'll call them as law. And then comes an particular act, which includes Company Act, okay. It is Company Act is just one of the act from amongst all the acts which are there in India. And then under an act there comes an regulation, and under those regulations then comes rules. So when if I talk about that, can I change any of this? Means government. Can government change any of this? Because all these things are governed by government. Okay? So can they make changes in this? We had already discussed that if they want to make any changes, they need to go through this complete process. First they need to pass a bill, then act, and then ordinance. Then bill or act. And if the parliament is not in session, then they can come with ordinance, okay. And two things, if it is a state matter, okay, and if it is a center matter. If it's state matter, then it will be governor, and if central matter, then it will be president, okay. Then moving further, we read this in detail to make you understand better, okay. The rules are the standards set out of instructions made for people, okay. Rules are basically those standards that are the set of instructions that are made for people, which explains that how things to be done. If I talk about companies' rules, there is Company Act, there is companies' rules. So what the rule will tell that how anything is to be done, okay. Means Act will tell you the provision, right? That you have to form, you can form a private company. For that you need to do the particular filing, you need to pass a board resolution. But how the resolution is going to be passed, what things you have to do while you are complying with that particular provision will be written under rules. So rules tells us what to do and what not to do. Means to do the compliance, the act says, but how to do the compliance, this will be given under rule. But if you do the non-compliance of any rule, the fine is little less. But if you do the non-compliance of an act, then you will have penalty, punishment, or all these things. Okay? Then the regulation part. What do you mean by regulation thing? Regulation can be defined as the rules which are authorized by the government and approved by the public. What do you mean by that? Means it is also a rule, but it is passed by government and it is approved by public. Okay, it is these are made by keeping in consideration the whole public at large, and so they must be followed by them. So its violation of any of these regulations may cause a severe penalty or punishment for both. Okay, if you do the non-violation, if you do the violation of these regulations, then it will be giving a serious harm to you. Okay, and in the parliament, when both the houses passes a bill, it becomes an act, and on the basis of the act, the regulation comes forth. We had already discussed in the parliament, when both the houses passes a bill, it becomes act, and on the basis of the act, regulation came into force. Okay, so regulation is more stricter thing than rules, and the most stricter thing is constitution, then laws, then act, then regulation, and then rules. And if the government want to amend it, what is the most easy thing for government is to pass rule. And then the slightly toughest thing, because again they need to go to the parliament for all these things, then then it comes regulation, and to change the act is really a big thing. Okay, so it will take a lot of time. So if a government want to change a slightly limit or something, it brings a notification and changes the rule, because it is the most easy things to do. So if you will study the act in further classes, you will get to know that everywhere it is written that in the threshold limit part, that it is as may be prescribed. So where it is prescribed, it is prescribed under rules, because it can be changeable easily, so they make them changes in rules. Okay. Now, key differences between rules and regulations. Now, some of you might get confused between these two terms. So, the key difference that I would want to tell you about is the points given below will explain the difference between the rules and regulation in a detailed way. In general, the rules are set of instructions which are issued for the public are known as rules. Means these are the set of instructions, okay, which is given under notification or something, okay, which are issued for the public. That is how you have to comply a particular act, a particular regulation. This is called as rules. Rules which are legally acceptable by the governing authority are considered as regulation. Okay, and rules are not very strict in nature, but regulations are strict in nature. Rules are a part of regulation. When you go read regulation, under that the rules comes. Okay, but regulation is a part of act. Okay, some regulations can come under an act. Now, individual and organization also can set their own rules, but government set regulations. So whatever the government set will be called as regulation, and when the individual or any company sets anything, then it will be called as rules. Now, what are the similarities between the two? Both are the part of the constitution. They are to be followed by the people, and the violation can cause punishment or penalty in both the cases, or I will say in all the cases you will have the punishment or penalty. Okay, and all these things are made for the good of the people, to create good governance amongst the people. Now, coming forward to our act, which is Companies Act 2013. So, starting with the introduction thing. So, to you, okay. Sorry about that. Starting with the introduction of Companies Act 2013. Companies Act 2013 consists of 29 chapters, 470 sections and 7 schedules. Don't worry, you don't need to learn all the sections. There are certain sections that are important for you. Not all the sections are important, okay? And then Companies Act 2013 consolidates and amends the law related to companies in India. Okay, was a previous company law before Company Act 2013, which was Companies Act 1956. Okay, and in phases, this Companies Act 2013 has been passed or become applicable, because at once all the sections were not get applicable. At various stages it got applicable, so we can't mention a particular date on which this act has been applicable, because certain provisions are still there of Companies Act 1956 which are still applicable. Okay, now, but most of the provisions, 99% of the provisions are applicable for Companies Act 2013. Okay, the new act, why the new act they had made that, why they had replaced it with old act, let's learn that. The new act intends to improve corporate governance and to further strengthen regulation for corporate sector with introduction of key provision, that is, earlier duties and liabilities of director was not given. Independent directors would not be liable in any case. So now they have also become liable in certain cases if they know about any particular fraud that has happened in the company. And auditor rotation of the auditor provision has been introduced. Okay, and ratification of auditor has been cancelled, and establishment of serious fraud investigation office is being done. Constitution of NFRA, that is National Financial Reporting Authority, class action suit, CSR, and these things has been introduced in the new act. It makes the act even more stronger, and also I forget to mention here, you can note it, CLB is now being dissolved and all the cases of CLB is given to NCLT and NCLAT. NCLAT is appellate authority and this is the junior authority. Okay, and the thing is that we are going to study this particular about NCLT and NCLAT in detail chapter. You have a chapter for this. Okay, so not to worry, but in brief you should know this is the authority and this is the appellate authority under Companies Act. Okay, and wherever you want to note something and if you think that I'm not giving you enough time, then you can pause the video and note that thing. Okay, so there is not an issue for that. One second. Okay. I need to write it in a better handwriting. Okay, NCLT. Now, Companies Act 2013 is administered by central government. So who administers the Companies Act? It is the central government. Okay, one second. Before going further, reading this particular slide, I want to show you something. This is a regulatory hierarchy for Companies Act. Okay, first is all the companies are regulations and rules and act and everything comes under a ministry named as Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which is governed by central government. Okay, and then comes RD, then comes ROC. Means a company will directly come in contact with ROC and ROC will come in contact with company, and all the filings that company have to do, even those filings which have to be reported further to RD, will be first of all applied to ROC. Then ROC will forward your application or report, will report about your company's compliances to RD. Okay, and you will not go up to MCA. Okay, but yeah, all the tasks, all the things will be done under MCA website only. So let me show the website to you. One second. One second, it's open. Okay. MCA basically controls and regulates all the, one second. MCA basically is concerned with administration of Companies Act, rules, regulations, all the notification, notices, all the regulations, amendments, all these things is being administered by MCA. Okay, and it does not only concern with Companies Act thing, it also covers various other acts and rules and regulations. Okay, so let us see the website. This is the website of MCA. One second. This is the MCA services. Let's see what kind of services MCA provides. One second. From here you can see the master data list of the companies that are being registered by just entering the name of the company. When you click here, you will find it. From here you can incorporate the company. Spice Plus is given. Under run there is a name request number. Okay, name reservation. Okay, all these things you can access from this. You can see the director details from view signatory details. Okay, you can see the charges that are there on the company. Okay, you can request for them. So there are various, and LLP services, LLP incorporation can also be done with this, annual filing, and many more things that can be done in this particular website. So you can see the most of the work of a company secretary, basically company secretary, is being done with this website. Okay, so by this you can understand that MCA was primarily concerned with administration of Companies Act 2013 and rules and regulation, and Companies Act is basically governed by central government, and who acts on behalf of central government is MCA. And also to distribute work, because MCA is applicable in whole of India, and in India, as you all know, there are n number of companies. So for that purposes, there are RDs which are there, who will administer the zone in which they are situated. We can read this point first. That is, there are 7 RDs who are in charge of respective region. Okay, like North region, South region, East region, and West region. 4 regions are these only, and otherwise it is Northwest, Southwest, like this regions are there. So in a particular region there are n number of companies, and all these companies will come under jurisdiction of RD. Like in MP, or you can say like in Delhi, if any company is situated in Delhi, then it will come under the RD which is situated in North India. Okay, so will come under that zone. And all the ROCs, okay, we'll come to it later. First we're going to go through with this. The 7 RDs were there who are in charge of respective region. Each region comprises a number of states and UTs. Okay, now they supervises the working of the offices of ROC and OL, official liquidator, okay, who are working in their regions, and also maintain licensing with the state government and central government in the matter related to administration of Companies Act and LLP. Now, ROC comes below RD because ROC is there in each state. Okay, earlier it was this RD was zone wise. Okay, it is a zonal and it is state wise. At least in one state you will get at least one ROC. Okay, who is going to administer and control and monitor the compliances of the companies situated under his jurisdiction in that particular state. For example, MP's ROC is situated in Gwalior. So all the companies in MP will be governed by that ROC. Okay. Similarly, but those all the ROCs in North India, the ROC Delhi, ROC MP of MP, and various other ROCs will be governed with RD, which is situated in New Delhi. So this is like this. But all these companies, means RD in Maharashtra, RD in Maharashtra side, RD in Delhi side, RD in South India side, all these RDs will be governed by MCA. So MCA is like a head, and so RD is subhead, and ROC is like a departmental thing. Okay, in a layman language I'm explaining. So in legal language, what is it? Companies Act 2013 is administered by central government through MCA and offices of ROC, RD, NCLT and NCLAT. I have already talked to you about NCLT and NCLAT. These are the appellant authority and authority which in case of any dispute or any non-compliances under the Act will be taken care of by these particular authorities. Okay, and as we come to ROC, these are vested with primary duty of registering companies, LLPs floating in respective state and union territories, and ensuring that such companies and LLPs will comply with the requirement of the Act. Okay, and central government exercise administrative control over these offices through their respective RDs. So through their respective RDs, central government exercise the administrative control over these ROCs and RDs both. Okay, and whatever form filing that we do, that I had told you in that MCA website, will go to first of all ROC offices. ROC offices examines them and approves them if it does not have any error. If there is a matter of any confusion or something, then these things will go forward to RD. Okay, and then RD will come into the picture. Otherwise, the most of the things will be handed over till ROC only. Okay, and after ROC, RD comes. Okay, we have already studied about this, and they supervises the working of the offices of ROC and official liquidator who are working in their region. They also maintain a license with state government, central government. There are certain powers of central government that is also being delegated to RD. And the function of MCA I already told you. Okay. Now there are certain legal terms which we are going to study right now, because in further classes or in a further subject we are going to face these particular terms, and if you read any law by your own, or if you are reading it with me, at least you should know these terms so that you will understand the concept in a better way. And also, as and when these terms will come, I'll also going to again give you detail about these terms, but still before starting with any provision or something, you must be aware of these terms. Okay, now certain legal terms, they are, so first is subject to. Subject to, what do you mean by subject to? It is a conditional thing. Okay, or that is a particular provision is depend on something else to happen to be true. In a general language, it is a dependent on something else to happen to be true. For example, if in any section it is written, provision it is written subject to section 96, this has to be followed. Means first you have to go to section 96, you have to comply with that, and after in compliance with 96, section 96, you have to come and see this particular section. Okay, this is the meaning of this term. Then second term is notwithstanding that. what the legal meaning of it is, what the general meaning is, in spite of. In spite of means, you can read with this example, notwithstanding the evidence, the consensus is that the jury will not reach a verdict. What do you mean by that? That is, in spite of the evidence, means in spite they have the evidence, the consensus, that is the judge in the jury, will not reach a verdict. They are not able to reach a verdict in spite they have a evidence. So this in spite of is legally be termed as notwithstanding, and this word you will come to see in the future, okay, in the future slides and your future subject and in other law subjects as well. Okay, so you should know this. Then provided that, third thing is provided that. What do you mean by that? It means a subject to a certain condition, the above provision shall be complied. Means if the provision that is given above that particular sentence where it is written as provided that, means for example this is a provision, and behind this it is always written after a particular provision, provided that. If this word is written, it means subject to some condition, okay, जो इसके नीचे that will be written behind this, okay, the condition that is written behind this, after complying with this particular condition, the above provision shall be complied. Means above provision will need to be complied in accordance with, or in along with that particular thing, you need to follow the following provision. And or also we can say sometimes consider as an exception of opposite provision. So if it is written like this, above provision is given and then provided word is given, provided that, and it may also mean that this particular thing which is written after the word provided that is an exception. Okay, means these particular things, this above provision will not be applicable. Okay, so to be concise and to make you remind, I'm explaining it again to you so that there would be no confusion. Provided that means the above provision is subject to some condition which is given here under, okay, below this particular provided that thing, or it may also mean that the following thing which is given under provided that thing, on these particular thing, the above provision will not be applicable. So these things are exception to above provision. So to understand that in better way, we are going to study this particular word in detail whenever it comes in practicality, and at that time you will understand in a better way. In a general sense, right now for understanding purpose, just remember one thing, that that provided that is being used when it is subject to certain condition. Okay, below that either it will be given some condition or it will be given as an exception. Instead of the word exception, provided that word will be used. Okay, and the last thing that is very important is financial year. So as an income tax thing, you always have a financial year which is 1st April to 31st March. But if we talk about section 2 clause 41 of Companies Act, financial year is being defined as in relation to company or body corporate, means a period ending on 31st day of March every year, and where it has been incorporated on or after 1st January, then the period ending 31st day of March of the following year. That is generally every year 31st March, on 31st March your period your year will get end. Okay, but now in this year suppose you get incorporated on 1st January 2020. So for you the period will be ending on 31st March 21. Okay, not 20. So it is following year, matlab next year. It means next year. Okay. So this is it means. And also if you it is not necessary that it will consist of 12 months. It is not necessary. If this incorporation date would become like, one second, October, 1st October 2020. So for 1st October 2020 incorporated company, the period will be ending 31st March 21. So how many months it will be there? October, November, December, January, February, March. Only 6 months. So only 6 months can also be counted as 1 year in the year of incorporation. So this is an exception to it, and we'll discuss this definition in detail in future, and there are again some exception for this particular definition which we're going to be seeing in the future. Okay, now with the next video we are going to start with the types of companies. Right now we had completed basics of law, introduction to Companies Act, and now from the next video we're going to start with the topic company definition and characteristics, and we are going to starting with the provision. All the introduction and everything is completed, and I hope you will revise this. Okay, please revise within 24 hours before watching the further lecture. Okay, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.